Unbelievable stuff, to be honest. Really was unbelievable stuff. But when you, I guess we'll start off talking about from the start of the game, because I think Spurs did start the game well, and in the first half, Spurs were providing all the chances, had all the possession. We were the team in the ascendancy, albeit, Sheffield United did come away with a few presentable chances in the first half. Vicario getting down low to make a good save. And also, I can't remember who were the ones making the last-ditch challenge, but Romero or Van de Ven made a really good challenge in that first half to deny a goal-scoring opportunity. But besides from those two chances, I mean, it was Spurs creating all the... Bissouma went on a mazy run, gets in behind, maybe should have done better. Maddison had a really good chance. We were taking some pot shots from far out. Solomon was looking dangerous as well. But we do go on at 0-0, but we really should have had the lead in the first half, shouldn't we?
Yeah, I think the approach in the first half was correct, because albeit maybe the quality of chances apart from the Bissouma one, we weren't able to really create any click opportunities. But what I really liked is that we were not shy of taking long shots and shots in around the penalty area. And when you have the quality of Son, Maddison, and Solomon as well, who had a good attempt probably from the edge of the box, I think you have to try and break the deadlock in that kind of way. If Sheffield United are going to be as stubborn and defend as well as they did in a low block like they did yesterday, I think you just have to basically trust in your own quality to find the net in those situations if they're going to let you have shots from those kind of situations. And that we were looking dangerous. Maddison had a couple of good attempts. Son, as you say, forced a good save out of Foderingham, and so did Solomon. So we know we have the quality. Unfortunately, we couldn't get over the line. We did obviously create a couple of opportunities, which maybe could have done better from. Sarr had a header, which maybe should have scored. And then obviously Bissouma created that chance for himself, which was our best chance at the half. So I think we were looking bright, looking creative, and our approach play was really strong still. We were able to get to the final third really well. But when you come up against a very stubborn team like Sheffield United, it's never going to be easy just to create the space, find click opportunities. There was one moment, actually, I would say, Maddison plays a really lovely through ball to Son, and his first touch just evades him. And if he gets that touch right, he's in on goal. So there was moments like that where you can say we could have picked the lock, but if you don't take advantage of those moments, they don't necessarily come again as easily. So we kind of didn't take full advantage of that moment specifically and the Sarr header. But I still felt like even though we weren't creating clear-cut opportunities regularly, we were still forcing opportunities and we're still taking shots and creating situations. And it did seem as though we were looking good. Like at half time, I wasn't sitting here thinking, "Oh, how are we going to win this game?" Like we're really struggling. I thought we're going well. We need to keep up the intensity and keep up the pressure. I wasn't unhappy at half time, even though it was 0-0. And I think that was probably a testament to how we played.
Yeah, I mean, same as me. I was sitting there at half time thinking, yeah, this goal is definitely going to come. We're going to win this game. We're the team much playing the better football. They were just sitting in their low block, being compact, trying to be hard to beat, which they were. And the goalkeeper yesterday, Foderingham, was just pissing me off, but pretty much from the first half all the way to the end. I mean, he was taking his time with everything. He was on the floor more than he was, on his feet. And it was just like a really frustrating time in the stands, because like they were just taking every opportunity they could to waste a little bit of time, which I don't blame them for, because when they're coming up a team like us who are kind of relentless in the way we attack, they have to take every opportunity to wean down the minutes, especially when it's at 0-0 essentially. So I think Sheffield United played their game really well, to be honest, but it was more down to Spurs not being clinical enough, really, in that first half. And you go on to the second half, I think there was a bit of a lull period in the game in the early stages of that first half. But Ange did what Ange does best, and he made the changes to affect the game.
Yeah, 100%. I think Sheffield United, to be fair to them, as much as they were defending in a low block and were kind of... obviously, they came here with a plan. That was to get the point, frustrate the home fans, slow the game down at every opportunity, waste as much time as possible. That was definitely their game plan. But I have to say, first of all, they defended so well with how many times they were throwing bodies in front of shots, and how many they must have blocked about 10 shots or 15 shots yesterday inside the penalty area. That was really impressive, to be fair. And I have to say, Ollie McBurney was giving us a lot of trouble with his hold-up play. They were going very direct to him. He was winning a lot of headers. I think a lot of the time he was coming on top ahead of Van de Ven and Romero. He was trying to bring Archer into play, who didn't really get as involved involved as he wanted to. Although there was one moment where he flicked the ball onto Archer and he could have been in on goal if it wasn't for a recovery tackle from Van de Ven, even in the second half. So they had like some moments on the counter where they were looking threatening. It wasn't just like they were low block and didn't want to attack at all. They did kind of force a few situations where we were maybe a bit struggling, but I think we dealt with it fairly well by and large. They didn't really have any clear opportunities, but I think you've got to give them credit. I thought they did give us a good game, and they were really struggling to play against. And obviously when the goal came, what was 15 minutes to go, you're thinking, we've struggled this much to score up until this point. How are we going to go and win this game? That was the main worry. Even though at that point, I still felt like we were on top and we were playing well. We were creating opportunities and openings. I did feel like, though, I think Postecoglou made the subs on 80 minutes. And I felt like from like minute 45 to minute 60 or so, we were still looking good. And then we did have the air of a team that seemed to run out of ideas a bit from like for the 10-minute period or 20-minute period before he made the subs. So I think he probably timed that right. But at 73 minutes, first of all, the goal as well, such poor defending, I have to say. It's a long throw. We allow it to bounce.
Just goes for everyone, doesn't it?
How do you allow a long throw to bounce in the penalty area like that? Someone has to take responsibility and make sure you're getting that away. I know I'm looking at Kulusevski, and he kind of didn't react quick enough, and maybe he should have got away. It goes over Romero's head as well. And to be fair, the finish is brilliant, right in the corner.
No chance for Vicario. Yeah.
It's a great finish, but you can't let a ball bobble around like that in the penalty area, like from a long throw. That was really, really disappointing. And at that moment, you're thinking it's going to be one of those days, aren't you? Before the changes. Absolutely.
But I would say, like, as much as we were given problems by Sheffield United a couple of times throughout the game, I thought Van de Ven, I thought he was a level above any defender on that pitch yesterday. I thought he was absolutely sensational yesterday, Van de Ven. How many times did it look like a dangerous situation and Van de Ven was just there to mop up every single time? Aerial ability as well. I thought he was an absolute man mountain yesterday, Mickey Van de Ven. But, I mean, when Ange makes those changes, Brennan Johnson comes on for Heung-min Son, I think it was, with about 20 minutes to go. And he was a proper breath of fresh air when he came on. You could see his direct running, speed. He was running past players and through players. And it was just so unfortunate that goal was just slightly offside, because he took it so well, gets in behind the Sheffield United defence and just finishes it like just such a brilliant finish into the near post. Completely, double guessed the goalkeeper. Goalkeeper just didn't know what to do with it, and he slots it home. And I think that's maybe a sign of things to come that we can expect from Brennan Johnson.
Yeah, and we had that threat in behind on the right-hand side, which as much as I think Kulusevski had a great game, he didn't really offer that kind of threat during the game. He was more kind of ball to feet, trying to create chances with his passing ability, which was, I think, he was doing really well, but unfortunately it didn't really come off for him enough time throughout the game. And Brennan Johnson moved onto the right. Kulusevski kind of moved into the centre, and he was kind of like another midfielder, which was I think crucial for us to put more pressure on Sheffield United. And it was interesting to see as well that, no one's talked about it. He took Son off with 10 minutes to go when we're needing a goal. And maybe on another day, that becomes a story. He takes Son off. Why is he doing that? We need a goal. He's our best finisher, all that kind of stuff. But I like that he took that brave decision, took off our captain. And I think...
Not the first time he's done that, by the way.
Yeah, I think it was to the benefit of the team. And I think having Richarlison on there, in the centre, having Perisic on the left and Johnson on the right, a new front three with Kulusevski, with that incisiveness of him and Maddison in the centre as well, I think it really paid off. And Johnson was offering us a different threat on the right-hand side with his pace. Richarlison was offering us a threat we hadn't had all game, which was a presence in the box, which, as much as Son tried his best, he just wasn't able to be a presence in the box when crosses were coming in, and he had to aerially compete with the centre-backs. He wasn't able to do that for much of the game. And Perisic was offering good deliveries from the left-hand side as well. So I think the front three really, those substitutions really did change the game and helped swing it back in our favour.
Yeah, I've been saying it for a while that I want to see like Perisic and Richarlison play together, because Richarlison is the only one that has that presence in the box, like you said, and Perisic has got those crosses on lockdown. And we saw it against Fulham in the Cup, but obviously we didn't didn't see it come to life. But in this game, I thought the subs at that time just gave us exactly what we needed at the time. Perisic to get those beautiful balls into the box, and then Richarlison there to finish it. And they really gave us new life in the attack, to be honest. But the player I want to talk about is Bissouma, because I thought he was our man of the match yesterday, first and foremost. And he was just growing and growing and growing as the game wore on. And you just really saw him just take that responsibility in those last 15, 20 minutes. And he was always asking for the ball, always looking to make stuff happen. And you just saw everything in those last 20 minutes, those last 15 minutes was going through him.
Yeah, 100%. I felt like in those last 20 minutes, he just decided to take the game by the scruff of the neck. He was like, I'm going to take charge of this game. I'm going to progress the ball forward by myself. I don't need to do little passes. I'm going to just charge forward through the space when I see it. And I thought in the first half, he was doing that on occasion. Obviously, with the chance that he missed, he had a few moments like that. But he almost became like another playmaker in that second half in the last 20 minutes when we really needed him to step up and we needed something to happen. He was just making things happen with his dribbling ability and his progressive when his ability to progress the ball forward with ball carrying ability, and it was just absolutely fantastic. I really enjoyed his performance the last 20 minutes. His passing as well was his pass over the top for Brennan Johnson, which nearly got a goal as well. It was a brilliant ball over the top from him. I thought his long passing was on point for a lot of those that period in the game in the last 20 minutes. And I thought he really took that game by the scruff of the neck. And if it wasn't for him, I think it would have been a lot easier for Sheffield United to see out those last 20 minutes without much trouble. And I thought he was the one that really put a lot of pressure on him. And there was a reason why we kept finding the wide players in really dangerous situations. And we kept getting the fullbacks isolated because he was moving the ball very quickly and with a purpose as well. And I agree. He wasn't my man of the match, but I thought he was sensational in those last 20 minutes. And I was so happy with how he stepped up for the team.
Well, I'm guessing your man of the match is going to be Dejan Kulusevski.
It would be. I thought he was fantastic throughout the game. I thought the goal that he scored was really good reward.
What a finish.
It was a top finish on his right peg, and I think it was good reward for what was a really positive display. I thought on the right-hand side...
His best performance of the season by far.
Yeah, I thought on the right-hand side he was constantly causing them trouble, but it wasn't just with his dribbling ability. I thought a lot of people keep saying he's predictable. I think a lot of the time he's going on the outside and he's using his right foot, and I thought he did that a lot of the time yesterday. And I thought his passes into the penalty area, what I really like about him is he does this thing where when he squares up a man, but you thinking he's going to go left or right with his dribbling ability, but a lot of the times as well, he'll just give a quick pass into the penalty area, then follow his run and get the 1-2. And it's really hard to stop when he's doing that because he's so strong. You can't outmuscle him. He can breeze past you with his running like that, and he'll pick the ball up and then he'll get the ball in the penalty area and either look to shoot or little dink to the back post. Or I like his creative passes. He more often than not, he comes up with a lot of unpredictable passes that a lot of people aren't seeing. And we've seen that he's got that ability, especially when he first came, to do that, and I think he's bringing that back into his game, in my opinion. That ability to be a creative passer on the right hand side. I think on the day he had 5 key passes. That just goes to show how creative he was throughout the game. He created a lot of chances for his teammates to score. Unfortunately, the clinical edge wasn't there, but I thought as well when he moved into the centre, it brought an extra element into his game. And I'm not sure whether that's going to be like, okay, he's a number 8 now, it's his position. I still think he looked very good out wide, but it definitely added an extra element of incisiveness when we needed to break down that low block. Yeah. And Andrew was saying after the game, he threw an extra attacker on and even brought Højbjerg on to be an extra midfielder because he knew Sheffield United, those last few minutes, they're not going to be attacking, they're not going to be going forward. We can throw caution to the wind and really put pressure on them. And I think moving Kulusevski into that number 8 position, and then you had Højbjerg there next to Bissouma for the extra protection, I think it really worked a treat. And we were creating a lot of chances in those last few minutes. It wasn't just the goals we scored, we were putting a lot of pressure on them. And it just seemed like it was a matter of time before the goal came, and that's what happened, and we got our reward.
Yeah, we really did. But in terms of Kulusevski, I thought he was brilliant yesterday. Don't get me wrong, I really did, and I thought it was his best performance by a long way. But the problem I have with Kulusevski so far this season is that we see him take up good positions, we see him take on his man, and we see him play well. But it's what happens after that, and I feel like so far this season, apart from this game, his final ball on a consistent basis hasn't been good enough, and it comes up in failed attempts more than not. But in this game, I felt like he was back to his best, or getting back to his best. So I think like the criticism for Kulusevski so far this season has been warranted, but in this game was an absolutely unbelievable display. It really was. He was our most creative outlet out of the front line. He was better than Solomon. He was better than Heung-min Son. I thought he was even better than Maddison in the game yesterday. So I'll put him probably second in terms of man of the match rankings. I think still Yves Bissouma was the best player for us on that pitch, but that's exactly what I've been calling on Kulusevski to do. Get that final ball on, get that creative kind of actions working again, like we saw him do it when he first came to Spurs. And I think that's exactly what he did yesterday. And I did think, like you say, he looked even better when he moved into the number 8 position. So yeah, big up to Kulusevski, because that's exactly the performances that we wanted to see from him. And I think the criticism was warranted, and he's acted on those criticisms and provided a brilliant performance for us on the pitch yesterday.
I think for me, the criticism's been a bit over the top. I think he's actually had a good start to the season. I think, yeah, look, you can always improve. Everyone can always do better. And yeah, I want to see more from him, 100%. But I think a lot of people have been saying he's been poor or not, hasn't been good. I think he's had a really good start to the season, in my opinion. I think even in the first games before the international break, against United, against Bournemouth, even against Burnley, I think he's played quite well. And I think, yeah, this game was probably his best. But I think he's had a fine start to the season. And I'm really happy with him right now. And I want to continue in this way. And I feel like he's gaining more confidence. And you can see as well in the international break, he was playing with full of confidence for Sweden as well. So I'm hoping we're seeing the Kulusevski return that first game to Spurs, rather than the one that was on the pitch for the majority of last season. But I'm really happy with Kulusevski, and I really think he's getting back to his best.
Well, at the end of the day, you can't really knock 2 goals and an assist in the opening 5 games of the season. When you look at it, he had 2 goals the whole of last season. So he's already equaled that. So, look, I think we're on to a good thing with Dejan Kulusevski, not going to lie. So, and apart from that, I thought, like we mentioned before, Perisic came on and did the exact job what he was asked to do. Richarlison just so needed that. What happened on the pitch yesterday, with everything that happened around midweek, with him coming out talking about his mental health issues, with Spurs fans kind of turning on him a little bit, with his performances last season and the start of this season with no goals, essentially. He gets a goal and an assist and provides exactly what the team needed, with a presence in the box, lovely header to put it away, and a lovely assist as well to tee up Dejan Kulusevski. So I think Richarlison can't come away with more praise than he's getting at the moment.
Yeah, and as I was saying before, like throughout the whole game, I really felt like we were lacking. So when we were swinging crosses, I felt like it was swinging crosses to no avail, because we had Sonny in there. And yes, unless like we had some runners from deep who were kind of going to get in on the blind side of some of the defenders, you didn't really have a player in the box who was going to win headers and compete physically with the centre backs. I think Son had one header which he won from a Solomon cross. I think that might have been in the first half, but you're never really confident he was ever going to get any purchase on that header or get it on target. And Richarlison, I think Richarlison pretty much proved what we were saying before the game. In this kind of game, I think Richarlison was always going to be a bit more effective than the Son up front. I did think Son tried his best. I think Son did what he should be doing in this kind of game, which is trying to find a bit of space in between the lines with his pace, but it's always going to be difficult to find that space, and also coming deeper and getting long shots off and trying to impact the game in that way. And he did that to a decent extent, but it wasn't as effective as it could have been. And so when Richarlison comes on, I think all of a sudden you have a presence in the box. You have someone to aim at when you're crossing the ball in. You will have someone who's a lot more physical, willing to battle with the centre backs, willing to get involved with a bit of the physical battles, which was really, really good. And it wasn't just a header. He had a header just before he scored as well, which was over the top, which was a good chance. He all of a sudden we were able to play passes into him, and he was able to physically compete with a lot of the centre backs, wherever someone was getting shoved aside a lot more easier. And then obviously he gets the goal from the corner, which was a brilliant header, bullet header into the corner. No arguments with it. Brilliant. Did brilliantly to shake off his defender as well. If you see in the replay, does really well to do that. And then for the equaliser as well, I thought he had brilliant presence of mind to pick out Kulusevski inside the box. I think the weight of pass and the time in the pass was really good, and I'm so happy for him, because it's been such a difficult time for him at Tottenham, and you saw how, I don't know where, look, you saw was a bit of like weight lifted off his shoulders at the end of the game, Son coming over to him, and there was such beautiful words from him and Son after the game saying, Richarlison scoring today was even better than me scoring. I'm so happy for him. And that's how a captain should act. And, you would have think as well, it's interesting, the dynamic, because obviously Richarlison is technically, his technically his competition for that central striker spot. Yet you see Son at the end of the game, he's pushing Richarlison to the south stand. He's just so happy for his teammate that he's got to put in a really good performance and he's got a goal, and hopefully that's a bit of weight lifted off his shoulders after a very difficult time. And that's how I love to see that from Sonny. It's such great captain material, really lifting up his teammates, and I'm really happy for Richarlison. I think yesterday was hopefully a start of a good run for him. Hopefully he can take that, and to be fair, that's what 2 goals in 3 games now for him in for Spurs. So hopefully that's the start of some good run of form for him, and I think he impacted the game as much as he could have when he came on in that period, and exactly what we needed.
Yeah, brilliant subs from Ange Postecoglou at the time. He gave us exactly what we needed, and big up to Richarlison, big up to Heung-min Son, big up to everyone, to be honest, because look, we were like you said before, we were talking about before the game about Alejo Veliz, like how this game could kind of suit him because we need a presence in that box to whip balls in, especially against the low block, and that's what came to pass, isn't it? At the end of the game, that's what we needed to go and win that game, with the beautiful crossing of Perisic and the aerial ability of Richarlison, because every time Sonny got the ball in that number 9 position, he was just being crowded out every time, and like you say, you just needed that physical presence in the box, and that's exactly what Richarlison gave us in the most dramatic of circumstances yesterday. I mean, I tell you, that stadium absolutely popped off yesterday. It was incredible. Like, you would have thought, like, a win against Sheffield United, the fans would just be like, yeah, that's what we should be getting anyway. But there is such a togetherness everywhere on this club. You can, like what you were mentioning before about the Sonny and Richarlison thing, that is just another bit of proof towards how together this whole football club is, how everyone is pushing in the same direction. The fans are on board. The manager is central to everything. The players are just all pulling in the same direction. It's like, I haven't seen this club probably since the peak Pochettino years with such a good vibe around the place. And the atmosphere is just incredible every single game at Spurs now, and it's like, even if something isn't building, it feels like something special is building here for sure. It really does, and it feels like the beginning of something, a journey that everyone is taking together and everyone is singing off the same sheet. So I couldn't be happier with the way things are going at Spurs at the moment. But like I keep saying, like we keep saying over and over again, we're not going to be judged on these games. We're going to be judged on these games coming up against Arsenal and against Liverpool. And if we can come away with those 2 games unbeaten, I mean, it's going to be hard for Spurs fans not to get carried away.
Yeah, who knows what we can achieve if that happens. But I think yesterday, it was testament. Yeah, as you say, that I was listening obviously in the studio, but I was listening on my headphones and I can hear, like, it was just incredible, the atmosphere, how the atmosphere was against a game like Sheffield United, where you would think Sheffield United at home, usually that's the atmosphere would be dead. It wouldn't be like a great game of football. Great atmosphere, sorry. It's just like a standard game. Yeah, the atmosphere was so electric. What was the most telling thing for me? Listening, I don't know how it was in the game, but listening on the headphones, even when we were 1-0 down, the fans kept encouraging the team. They kept singing. They kept showing support. And that was really encouraging to see, because usually in that kind of situation, if you're 1-0 down against a home Sheffield United with 15 minutes to go, usually the place is quiet. We're just like kind of dreading what's coming next. It's not a great situation. And to see the fans kind of keep giving encouragement to the team, even though we're, basically staring a fairly embarrassing defeat in the face at home Sheffield United, even though that is the situation, the support was still strong for the team and it was still there. And maybe last season, if that same situation would have happened, we go 1-0 down to Sheffield United with 50 minutes to go, the fans wouldn't have reacted in the same way.
But that just reminds me of what the fans were like under peak Pochettino. When we were going down, what did you hear? What was the first thing that you heard? Come on, you Spurs, come on. It didn't matter that we went 1-0 down, because we always had the faith and belief in the team with the way they play that they could get back into this game. And that was exactly the same situation yesterday. And in fact, it was actually a bit of a quiet period before Sheffield United scored. And as soon as Sheffield United scored, that's when the Spurs fans rose. And that's when the team needed us in the most important part of the game. We went 1-0 down and we got our rewards for it. But we got to talk about the referee yesterday, because what a shocking display from him. What a shocking display. I mean, the things that he got pretty much everything wrong on the day. And it's just like he was giving bookings for the most needless things in the world. Like Maddison goes down to his knees and puts his hands in his head and we're just like, and he gets a booking for it. McBurney gets sent off for saying, oh, he was pulling my shirt. I mean, what was he doing yesterday for the most part? I mean, the time wasting situation, like he kept warning him saying, oh, if you keep time wasting, you're going to get booked. Well, he kept time wasting and he never got booked. I mean, I just don't know what the ref was playing at yesterday. And it was a frustration for every single fan in that stadium, not just Spurs fans, but Sheffield United fans as well. It's just like even the Sheffield United manager was getting completely irate about the situation. I mean, how can we have such bad officiating when there's so much money in this league? It just makes no sense.
Yeah, he completely lost control of the game very early on. He was very card happy. I thought he was way too card happy for the kind of game that it was. I didn't even think it was a particularly dirty game. Yeah, every tackle he was handing out yellow cards like there's no tomorrow. I thought Maddison definitely should have had a penalty in that first half. Clear kick in the ankle, and VAR doesn't go back and check it, which I don't understand. It was very clear foul. It was a carbon copy of the Son situation against Brentford, and the VAR got involved in that one and decided to call it back and say, oh, actually it's a penalty. Yeah, there was no VAR check for this one. VAR decided that it wasn't clear and obvious, which is baffling the consistency in this game at the moment.
All you have to do is compare it to that one that we gave away at Brentford, right?
Yeah, that's what I'm
and
saying.
it's like 10 times more a penalty. It makes no sense.
Doesn't make any sense to me. I think they're both soft, but I think in a perfect world, VAR doesn't get involved in either, in my opinion. I think you just go with the on-field decision.
But I thought it was a stonewall penalty yesterday.
I think it's a penalty. I think it's a bit soft because I think he kicks him, but I don't think it's I don't think Maddison's going anywhere. Like I think it's a penalty. I don't think he kicked him hard enough to get him onto the ground. I just think he felt contact and goes down. But what I'm saying is, if VAR is going to get involved in the Son one, which I disagreed with, then it has to get involved in this one because it's the same situation. Yet the consistency is not there. I think in a perfect world you don't get involved in either. But if they've made that decision, then you have to get involved in both, and it didn't. So I'm very, very frustrated with the consistency of VAR. I think there was a really odd, which we'll go into because there's a super chat here that says, Ivan D, do you know who threw the balls from the stand?
Oh yeah, it was me, mate. No, I'm joking. I have no idea. It was someone from much lower down. But I mean, I was actually getting like proper frustrated at the fans throwing the balls onto the pitch because the balls get thrown onto the pitch. And then the referee just makes the most bizarre decisions about the balls being thrown on the pitch. Like Spurs were penalised because the Spurs fans were throwing the ball onto the pitch. It made no sense.
Well, the odd thing was, it happened the first time. So Spurs take a short corner, the ball gets thrown on the pitch, and then what happens is the referee gives a drop ball to Spurs, pretty much by the corner flag, and we play on from there. That was the decision on the first time. And the second time it happens, he gives a different decision. He decides to give a drop ball to the Brighton keeper. So
Sheffield, yeah.
Sorry, the Sheffield keeper. So I don't understand why the exact same situation happened, yet the two different decisions. So really, really odd from the referee. I think the right decision would have been, again, a drop ball to Spurs. That is the correct decision. And apparently, I saw on Twitter yesterday, someone was looking up the rules of the game, and the right decision would have been a drop ball to Spurs. So he got it right the first time. So I don't understand why in the second time he just made a different decision.
It seemed like he was just getting frustrated because the Spurs fans were the ones throwing it onto the pitch. So if your fans are the ones that are throwing it onto the pitch, so you're going to get penalised. That's just literally what it felt like.
Basically. So I think he just had a really, really terrible game, the referee. He completely lost control of both sets of players as well. And he was just making some really weird decisions. And I think...
Apparently this referee has history for giving really bad decisions against Spurs.
Really?
Yeah. Graham was telling me in the game yesterday, I can't remember which decisions actually he was talking about, but a couple of really bad decisions over the past couple of years he's been responsible for.
I don't know, maybe. I don't know about that. But look, I don't even think he particularly, apart from the penalty decision, I don't think he particularly robbed us of anything that we should have had. But it was just a general management of the game, which I felt was really, really poor from him. It wasn't even any like big decisions. It was just like a series of small decisions that he kept getting wrong and being really strange about, and just giving bookings left, right and centre. Maybe he was taking the directives Like sometimes you got to use common sense, and sometimes if you see someone who's frustrated by a decision, you can't just like book him straight away. You got to use your common sense. And yes, if a player's getting in your face and he's being and he's showing dissent and things like that, then yeah. But I don't even think that was the case for a lot of the things. It was just people saying like shock at his bad. He would like make a bad decision. The player will be like shocked about his bad decision. He'd be like, and then okay, you're being booked. He's like, what? It was a bit crazy. So
completely up his own arse, that ref yesterday.
Yeah, I have to say he was terrible. But look, we got the win in the end, in dramatic circumstances. The way we won as well, I think that it was the latest ever win in Premier League history, which was absolutely fantastic.
Beating our own record.
Exactly. And I think we deserved it. I think on the balance of play, we 100%. Were on top. We were the ones making the running, creating the chances, getting the shots off. And I think it would have been really unfortunate if we were to lose. But I was speaking to Andy yesterday, and it was interesting because I also felt like this, like, yeah, even when we were losing and we were staring defeat in the face, even in deep in stoppage time, I didn't have that feeling of like, oh, we've been shit today, it's been terrible performance, like I'm really frustrated. I had the feeling of like, it's frustrating that we've lost, but I can clearly see we're going the right direction. Yeah. Like I even had that when we were losing. I was going to take the defeat on the chin and then we move on. But the fact that we were able to turn that around in that situation just shows hope and mentality that he's instilling in this team, the togetherness and the we never stop mentality that he's been known for.
Absolutely. I was saying to people around me yesterday during the game that we can still win this game. We were going into the final 5 minutes of the game, and because of how badly the ref managed the game and all the stoppages, stop, start, we knew that there was going to be a bundle amount of stoppages added on at the end. At least, I was thinking in my head at least like 10 minutes, right? We got 12 in the end, and it could have been even more, to be honest. But because we had so long left, like if we got a goal at any moment in those last 5 minutes or in the first 5 minutes of stoppages, there was time for us to go and win that game, and that's exactly what happened. Exactly what happened. So I think you got to give a big up to Ange Postecoglou and the team for the way they conducted themselves yesterday. Another really strong performance, albeit maybe not as strong as we've seen in previous weeks, but still a really strong performance and definite deserved 3 points from Tottenham Hotspur at the stadium. And also a massive big up to the fans as well, because another sensational display from the Tottenham fans yesterday. So, and also after the game they played Angels over the Tannoy, and that was a brilliant moment. And I just love the kind of party carnival atmosphere that they're starting to create now after games, after wins. And it's just lovely to see. Like usually, even last season, like after a win, they'll just play Glory Tottenham Hotspur and everyone goes home kind of thing. But now it's like they're playing the party tunes, like the fact the players are coming over there having a bit of dance with the fans as well. The fact that you really feel like the players really appreciate with the fan support. Rather, I mean, last season, look, I'm not like saying it was bad, but like they'd come over and give a clap. It was like very muted. But it was bad. It was bad.
Yeah, but now it's like they're proper getting involved. They're like dancing with the fans. It's like a really great atmosphere.
I actually think that it might be a bit unpopular, but I think like the togetherness that they're showing now and the togetherness and the appreciation that they're showing for the fans is better than what it ever was under Pochettino.
It's hard to say because it's so early on, but I think, I mean, especially in Poch's early days, 100%. I think Poch's early days was actually quite toxic still because of a lot of different situations. But I think, I remember, situations, obviously in the Champions League run. I remember that big game when we beat Man City away. There was togetherness. But I guess in home games,
no, but that's a completely different situation you're talking about. You're talking about one of the biggest moments in Spurs' history, getting to a Champions League semi-final. Obviously, they're going to come over to the fans. I'm talking about a game against Sheffield United at home, Bournemouth away, Burnley away. These games where, in previous, even under Pochettino, they'll come over to the fans and clap and that's it. Not come over and dance with the fans and the fans singing each and every player's name and it's a party atmosphere. I don't ever remember that happening consistently week after week.
Yeah, you're probably right about that. So I think you probably make a good point. But it is only 2 home games. But look, they've been great. They have been amazing.
And 3 away games.
I just wish every home game is going to be like this because it's so much fun. Even when I wasn't here, I'm watching it. I'm just enjoying every second of it. So I'm absolutely loving it.
Yeah. All right. So that is your match review from the 2-1 win in a late show for Tottenham Hotspur yesterday.